Hi everyone, and welcome to my garden on this very windy day in February. Um, so today's video is going to be another tidy up video. So I'm at this time of year in February, I'm trying to stay off the grass because it's sodden, and if I stand on it too much, you compact the earth and you can really damage your grass. So I'm trying to keep off the grass as much as possible. I'm definitely not going in my borders yet because it's much too early in the year for me to start gardening. Um, so I've identified an area that is in much need of a tidy up, and that's the area behind my greenhouse. It's where my cold frames are, it's where my compost bins are, and I've visited this area every single day throughout the winter because I take my kitchen scraps down and put them in the compost there. So when you see it, you'll know what I mean. How I haven't slipped or fallen, I don't know. So I'm excited to tidy that area up, and I'll also be interested to see what plants have survived in this area because I did a lot of new planting there last year. So, right, we'll go and have a look. Maybe you've got an area of the garden that looks like this too. So this is the first area of the garden that I'm going to tackle. So for anyone who's new to the channel, this is my greenhouse, and the area here is where I've got my cold frames and my compost bins. Right, now round here, this area here, all these pots and that, I had intended to tidy them up at the end of last year. Didn't get round to it, so then the winter set in and they've just been left. I'm surprised they haven't blown all over the garden. So we've just got some dirty pots, some old crates, seed trays that I've emptied out. These all need washing. I'm just going to pick them all up, take them up to the top of the drive and give them a good wash. These are interesting. These are bags of spent coffee grounds, and I get mine from my local coffee shop in the cinema complex, and they're free. And what I do with them is I put them around plants that the slugs like. So any young plants you might plant out, antirrhinums, things like that, that get attacked by slugs. If you put the coffee grounds around, it really does work because I think they don't like the acidity in it, and obviously it's very natural, so that's good. So I think I'll clear all of this away. Now in here is a lovely hellebore. I can tell by the leaf, and that will flower. So what I think I'll do with that is, it looks like one that I've maybe dug up from the white garden, because it looks like it's going to be pink. Put it in a pot, and then it's been left, poor thing. So I'll plant him out. More dirty pots. This is a gorgeous white hellebore, so I'm definitely going to take him through to the white garden, and I'll be cutting off all these leaves, these dead leaves here, just leaving the flower. Now in this cold frame here, I've got all of the wallflowers that I've overwintered in this cold frame. I planted the seed last autumn, and these should be mauve, orange and yellow wallflowers. And then in this cold frame over here, these should be all white wallflowers destined for the white garden. Interesting thing about these is that half of them I put out in the white garden, I think last October, and they are a fraction of the size of these ones. These have been open to the elements, just this squirrel-proof netting over the top of them, but just that extra bit of protection from the wind, and it's really benefited them. So it'll be interesting when I plant the rest of these ones out in the white garden to see if the others catch up, or whether these actually stay ahead and perform much better. Really pleased with all of these. I'll put a link in the description box below to the video where I planted out all of these bulbs. So I have a plant display thing I made out of an old ladder. I call it my heuchera ladder because I filled it full of heucheras last year. But then I thought for this spring I would plant up 11 pots of, what have we got here? Crocus, king of the striped, got muscari, not sure how you pronounce that, pushkinia, but they are all coming up, and I've got 11 pots waiting for them on my ladder, and then I'll just slot these pots of bulbs in. Oh, I've got anemones over there. So yeah, really pleased with them. Then hopefully I'll get this all done within, what, half an hour? Right, so I'm going to have a little clear up of this area. So with the antirrhinums, some people just regard the antirrhinums, the snapdragons, as an annual. They flower and then they pull them out. But I find if you keep them a couple of years, they come back and they're much better the second year. So what I'm doing is I'm just cutting them right back down to the ground. I don't know whether you can see, here is a lot of new growth at the base. So what you don't want to do is leave this big straggly stem on, and just cut that back down to the new growth at the bottom there. So if you can see with this stem, even though it has new growth all the way up here, I wouldn't just cut it off by there and then leave that. I will take it right back down to the bottom, because there's more new foliage there and you'll get a stronger, bushier plant if you cut it back down like that. So this is Antirrhinum White Admiral. There we go. Take those down like that. Now, I'm not sure what this is here. It doesn't look like ordinary plain grass. It looks like bulbs. So I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and just leave that. There's nothing to lose and everything to gain. If it doesn't do anything by, say, spring, then I just pull it out. I'll put the link to the video where I sort of do this little area, and I developed the little woodland area last year. Right, so what have we got here? So I laid this little path just to just that I could get the cold frame really, and then oh, it's a bit tight, the space. And then in each of these little gaps I planted a baby heuchera. I split my heucheras last year, so they should do well this year. They're still alive, they've come through the winter. That's all we can ask of them. But I know that that green bit there is a weed. Pull him out. That looks like a foxglove. I think I probably planted a heuchera there as well, but he seems to have gone. This is a lovely heuchera. Heucheras are prone to being attacked by vine weevil. So they'll look lovely, and then the crown goes loose and the vine weevil gets in and eats the plant from the crown. But funny enough, all the ones that I planted out in the garden seem to have fared really well, whereas a lot of the ones that I repotted, I had to throw them because they just got attacked by vine weevil. Just clear out a lot of this debris and then see what we've got. I can't see the wood for the trees at the moment. What is that? Oh, Aquilegia lime sorbet. Right, so he's still alive because he's green. So I'm just going to cut the stem back like that. Put him in the cold frame so he doesn't get thrown away. All these dead stems here, this is Monbretia. I think it's a sort of cousin of Cuckolsmia. It's like a shorter version of Cuckolsmia, and it gets a lovely orange flower. It's really nice. You can pull it out and it'll just come back. Right, what have we got here? So, right, I recognise this. I'll cut this bit off. I recognise that leaf there, and that is Linaria, a lovely tall woodlandy plant with a purple or pale pink flower. It's a perennial, comes back year after year. So all you do is you cut it back down. You see how that bit is really straggly, but these bits here are really nice and tight and bushy. That's what you want early in the year. You want a nice, healthy, bushy, sturdy crown. You do that. If I left that, that's not going to do anything. So cut him down. It's as tough as old boots, and it will grow beautifully. Whereas this, I don't know what it's called, but I know this is a weed. For any new gardeners, it comes out from sort of like a central rosette there. You just get a hold of the central bit, give it a little wiggle because you want the roots as well, and you pull it, and it runs as well. So the roots run along the ground, and everywhere they touch, they send up a new plant, and you just keep pulling the rosettes. So there, and you see, and then that's the long root. Just pull it out. It's harmless. It doesn't really choke other plants like some invasive weeds do. There's a big rosette of it. Give it a pull. Just a little tug. Should come away quite easily. Look at the roots on that. But if you have got a new garden this year and you're really unsure about what's in it, what's a weed and what's not, then I would say just hold fire, don't pull anything out, because it's still very early in the year, and you don't know what you might be digging out. It might be a beautiful perennial that would cost you a bomb if you went and bought it in the garden centre. And you can get these apps, plant identification apps. I think I've got one on my phone called Seek. So when the plant does come up, you can sort of focus in on it with your phone, and it should tell you what that plant is. Or you might be lucky and have a gardener in the family and they could tell you what it is. Right, so I'm not gonna, the temptation is just to start weeding and go further and further into the borders, and I don't want to do that. I just want to clear this area today. So here's another heuchera. You know, I recognize these because I planted them. I think my scarf is muffling my mic. Probably been mumbling away for the last 10 minutes. So that is heuchera. And then that is a gorgeous plant. That is London Pride. Just sort of ground coverage, and it gets a tall, about 12 inches tall, pale pink flower. And then that there is foxglove. He's going to be stunning. I can tell by the size of the rosette. So foxgloves are biennial, so you plant the seed one year, they put down roots and they won't flower until the next year. So he looks like a year 2 foxglove. Very excited about that. Now these are rather straggly wallflowers that I grew from seed and planted probably early last year, but I don't want to cut them back because they've already started flowering. Now I planted these wallflowers all along here to soften the edge of this path, and as you can see, these are lovely and healthy, nice and bushy, and they've already got the buds forming there, whereas this one doesn't look good at all. So I'm going to take some of these leaves, well, I'm going to take all the leaves away from here. It's only a tiny little strip of earth because this is the paving stone that I laid to put the greenhouse on. But yeah, you see this wallflower here is really straggly. He's snapped off. So I'm going to cut him right down to the bottom, and what I'll do is I'll get one of those other wallflowers out the cold frame and put him there to fill the gap. This plant here at the base of this wallflower is Aquilegia. Beautiful flower that. Again, very cottage garden, very low maintenance, just looks after itself, perennial, so comes back year after year. That there I can tell is a GM, a picture of a GMO. That's beautiful. I've got a few GMs in the garden. Most of mine are Mrs. Bradshaw, which is deep red. It's beautiful. I've got mauve ones, and I've got some beautiful totally tangerine ones. big tall orange flowers, so I don't know what that one's going to be. Oh, I'm having such a lovely hour in the garden here. There's so many days, aren't there? You look out the window and it's freezing cold or pouring with rain and you wish you could get out, and then here we are. Right, so this plant here is again another foxglove. I think probably one of my favourite plants in the garden. Now this is also a wallflower, but you can see the difference between the really healthy foliage and that. So there's no way I'm going to keep this one. So I'm going to just pull him out. And I know I'll have gaps, but I've got so many more little wallflowers that'll fill in those gaps. Here's another dead one. Pull him out. If it was like 90% of the plant was still lovely and healthy, I would just keep the whole thing and cut the dead bit off. But right, so that looks much better. This plant here is Archimilium mollis, but I've put it on the corner here because it will just grow into a lovely big frothy mound. And I'm the type of gardener that loves softening corners. I don't sort of like harsh lines in my garden. I really like sort of soft cottage garden look. And this plant here is valerian. That again, some people regard it as a weed in their garden. You'll see a lot of it growing on embankments and things, gets a pink or a white flower, but really pretty early in the year. Lots more Archimilium mollis foliage coming there, and that will just sort of soften this whole corner. Throw the slate back where it should be and give the path a sweep. This is just a lovely little red brick path that I laid. This border here is for another day of tidying up. I just do a little bit when I can. It's amazing the difference it makes. Right, let's see what we've got. So here we go. There's the after. Disregard this part of it. Haven't touched that yet. But this is the entrance to what I call the engine room of the garden. It looks so much better. It's not a death trap anymore, that's for sure. So this is my oldest compost bin. Use that all the time, and I just usually I leave the lid open through the summer and the bottom. But this is what comes out the bottom. Lovely homemade compost. You've already seen my cold frames. I can see what survived the winter. And then this is my newest compost bin. So you just fill that full of everything, and then you can just spin it. It turns, so it does make nice compost. And this bucket here underneath it catches the rainwater, and that was full of, well, half full of compost. So the water in there, I just dip my watering can in the spring and start watering the plants with it, and it'll be really high in nutrients. And then these huge shrubs here, these are rhododendrons. I'll put pictures up of what they look like. So this one here is a beautiful deep red, and that one there looks like it's going to be red when it opens out its flowers, but it's actually bright yellow. And I couldn't bear to chop them down because I love them, but I also wanted a cold frame, so I actually have to sort of duck down and go into the cold frame that way, but well worth it. And then for another day I'll show you, this is my little woodland garden through there that I created with the new pathway there as well, but that's for another day. And then these are all my plants in the greenhouse, which I'll show you on another video as well. All of these were grown from seed at the end of last summer, and I've overwintered them. So if you're new to the channel, a very warm welcome. Thank you to everyone for watching, as always, much appreciated. And please do come back and visit again. I'll see you next time. Bye.